Hey guys, Big B ADV here. Had a great adventure here last weekend with Pacific Northwest Dual Sports and wanted to share that video. It did pour down rain on Thursday, which delayed my departure and arrival time. So it was raining buckets. I couldn't even see across the street. This location was about 3 hours from my house, so I put the bike in the back of the pickup and drove the truck up there and then set up camp in the rain that evening. Tough call, but had to do it. But here we're headed off. We actually just caught up with the other group. You can see it is raining. It is wet. Thank you, Battleborn Jacket, for keeping me dry. That was really nice. But this was the spring opener event, and it was awesome. I've never been on a ride like that, an adventure ride with a group of people. There's at least a couple of hundred people up there. I don't know exactly what the turnout was exactly. I've been looking on their Facebook page to see, but anyway, you can see that I didn't do a very good job of keeping the raindrops off of the camera lens. In fact, there's one spot up here where I actually ended up editing out most of it. There's a pretty cool section, actually. A lot of fallen trees. We actually all had to kind of stop and cross over a log, and so it actually was a lot of fun. But cool thing about these rides, guys, there's Matt. He was kind of our team lead. This group of riders, there's about 12 of us here, and yeah, everybody stops, everybody waits, and you know, don't ever be afraid of going on one of these rides. You know, because basically you got a lead guy and you got a sweeper, and they take care of making sure that nobody's left behind or anybody goes down. You know, there's somebody there with them, and so no matter what your level is, these lines, this string of riders, you know, get pretty strung out at times, and yeah, don't worry about it. Just go, have fun. That's what this is all about. After this ride, you know, I'd do it every weekend if I could do it every weekend. It was really that much fun, and even riding in the rain. And if I had the sound up on the GoPro, one of the reasons why I silenced everything too is the sound was not very good, but the rain bouncing off of the camera was actually quite loud. So I'm just going to talk through this one. But good ride, good people. I'd go again, definitely. You know, I met a couple of great guys in camp, Mark and John. Camp next to me, they were on a couple of Africa Twins, all kind of different sizes of bikes, tons and tons of different varieties. There's Africa Twins there on both. That's my counterparts in the riding with me there, and then like I say, lots of other people. I think the smallest bike we had in this group was a little XT 250 that Tammy was riding, but you know, she buzzed right along with all of us. And I think there was a Beta. Seems like a 300 or something like that was in the group. But a lot of fun, beautiful scenery, as you can see. Towards the end of this is kind of a blend, but kind of in the daily different rides that we did with where we ended up hitting snow. And so at about 3,500 to 4,000 feet, there was snow, and so some of it was passable, some of it was not. So this afternoon kind of ended with us having to turn around from a snowbank, and then the last section of this ride is actually was probably my favorite of the 2 days. But it was up to Packwood Lake, and you know, Matt Green led us up there. Jake Blevins was right there in front of me, and it was a fun ride back. And so here's our first little section of snow. that we came upon. So everybody just kind of stops and waits to see if the lead guy comes back and says, yeah, there's some road ahead of this, or there's not road ahead of this. So so everybody just kind of hangs out. There's Tammy on the little XT250. There were so many people up there, and I didn't get everybody's names, but everybody was great. Everybody's very friendly and open, very family oriented. There's little guys riding around camp, you know, in little PW50s and lower. They just tore it up. They were just riding. So really it was a lot of fun, very family oriented, and you know, if you ever get the opportunity, just go do it. And right here, this kind of blends right into the last snowbank. So that snowbank right there kind of ended this section. We just kind of turned back around, and then we started hunting up the trailhead that went into Packwood Lake. So we did a little hardtop. So I recorded a little bit of this. Normally I try not to record a lot of hardtop because, well, it's kind of boring, but it was so green. And by the way, there's no color alterations or anything like that on this video. It's all as I took it. And you can see it's a little drier. You get a little bit of a smudge up on the left-hand corner of the camera, but you know, I didn't have enough microfiber to keep everything dry. But anyway, the sun was coming out, and actually this afternoon there was no more rain. Did not rain through the night, and was dry all day Saturday. I actually packed up Saturday evening, and because there was a big storm coming, but my tent and everything was dry, and I had to take back off to go to Seattle on Sunday. So I didn't want to have to set my tent back up in my garage and let everything dry out. So I did take off Saturday night. I think I got home about 2:30 in the morning Sunday. So it was a long day, especially after the ride that Mark and John and I took around the backside. Overall on this trip, you know, I covered somewhere in the 225 mile range in 2 days. So this is the first little leg and section back to Packwood Lake. And like I said, this was probably my favorite ride, just because it was, I don't know, a little, the road was a little bit more primitive than the other stuff that we had been on. A little more challenging, I guess. You know, the rocks don't look that big in the video, but you know, some of them are sticking out of the ground pretty good. They've got slick surfaces on them. Like I said, it's been raining for 2 days, so everything was kind of mushy. But the new tires worked out real well. The Dunlop 606 I had on the back, and the D606, and then the Pirelli MT21 that I had on the front. I couldn't have been happier with the way that those tires handled and did everything I needed them to do. A little more bumpy on the road, you know, when we got on the hard top. You could feel them a little bit more, but so up ahead is Matt and Jake. Hanging back from Jake a little bit, you know, you'll see him kind of brap here and there as he goes around and over obstacles, and he was throwing a pretty good little rooster tail of rocks and stuff up. So I kind of hung back a little bit further because I didn't really want to eat any rocks. But we did have some bicyclists. You can see everybody slows down super slow. He was signaling that there was one more rider. She's passing by us right here. Normally in my videos you'll see me looking all over the place, but you can see in this I'm pretty focused forward. you know, picking my lines through these rocks. You know, everything looks like it's embedded, but then all of a sudden you'll end up with a baby head or two, and you know, those will just take the front end right out. So you really gotta be careful when you're writing this stuff. But it was gorgeous. You can see it actually starting to get a little bit dark back in here. You'll pick my headlights up as we pass through the trees, especially where there's some overgrowth. But most of this riding, guys, is standing up. And you know, if you're new to riding, you know, this type of stuff, these bigger bikes, really, really critical that you stand up. You know, sitting down, your body absorbs, you know, your butt and your back is absorbing and feeling every direction that that bike is being pushed by these rocks and by each bump you go over. So it's kind of like a bronco trying to buck you off of there. And in turn, what you end up doing is you end up throwing your weight around a lot of different ways that maybe don't even really make sense, right? But it can make this stuff seem pretty treacherous when you're riding on it. But if you look, I'm standing, these guys are standing up ahead of me, and what that does is, number one, when you're going in and out and you're weaving, you're actually weighting your pedal. So if you want to go left, you're actually weighting that pedal to the left, which puts the bike over at an angle slightly. So when you just barely turn that wheel at all, you know, the bike is in the right posture to go around a corner, and it's going to handle that corner better. But the other thing is that bike is going to be jumping all around underneath you, and when you're standing up on the pegs, you don't notice it as much. You don't notice that thing's jumping left and right and left and right, and the steering wheel's going back and forth and everything, because you're standing up and your legs are absorbing a lot of what's being thrown at you. And like I said, in the video, it doesn't seem like it's that much. But if you look down every once in a while, you'll see my phone. By the way, the ram mount did an awesome job, even though that thing's leaning about a 30-degree angle towards me. But you'll see that dash shaking around on that bike pretty darn good. And you know, that's all the stuff that's coming up after the suspension. And but this is really a cool ride, guys. And I'm just going to tell you that if you ever get that opportunity to go up, do these kinds of rides, just go do it. Don't be nervous about it. People are there with open arms. They're there to help. They love talking motorcycles. They love talking dirt. And you know, it was just a fun event. The campground was very well set up for everybody. Did not get crazy and out of hand. We had a couple of food trucks up there assisting with food for everybody. If you didn't want to cook, you know, you didn't have to. I'll be honest with you, I cooked one dinner Saturday evening. I cooked, but we ate lunch at restaurants in town, and breakfast I made. I did eat my oatmeal, so I did prepare that every morning. But it was one meal. I just had dinner. I had a hot dog, and that was about it. Maybe a bag of chips or something. But kicking the pants, and definitely fun for all, no matter what your riding ability. There's a place. There was a group of women that went out in one group. I don't know how many was in that group. I never got to see them. I wasn't in camp when they were coming or going, so I didn't see how many were riding, but there were a lot of ladies up there riding. And like I said, Tammy was in our group, and she was having a blast. And it was just beautiful. It was hard not to look all over the place when you're riding up here, because it's very scenic, very pretty. Further back we get in here, the more technical this gets. The rocks are a little bit bigger, a little muddier, a little deeper water. But you can see the headlights bouncing off the trees, so it is getting a little bit darker. But up here on the left, this river that's draining out of the bottom of the lake will start to come up to us, and you'll see a spillway up here on the left-hand side, and I don't know, probably about 30 feet long, maybe about a 12-foot drop. Sorry I didn't stop to take better pictures, but I was just cruising, and my brain really wasn't on the photography or this, even really making the video. I was just focused on staying up on two and keeping up with these two guys up at the front, and it was a kick. But the views up there are beautiful. I did take a few still photos at the lake, but I did not actually wear my helmet to the lake to show video out there. I think average speed wise, coming through here, there's some areas we slowed down a little bit, but I think average speed, we were probably in that 25 mile an hour range. There was times we were going a little faster than that, times we were going a little slower. Here we got to do a little eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and off we go to the right. So up here a little ways further, we actually go up a pretty nice little hill, and it was kicked. Like I said, everything about the ride, this is my type of stuff right here. This was challenging, but not nerve-wracking. Like I said, those guys, man, they took off like a rocket up through here, but a little bit more tentative than they were, because I wasn't familiar with the area at all. It's the first time I've ridden here. But very, very fun. Prop. That's why I stay back from Jake. I have all the protective gear on, right? I've got all my stuff, my pads, full face helmet on. This hill doesn't look that bad, but actually it's pretty soft and lots of loose rocks on it. Big thing is those baby heads. You hit those baseball-sized round rocks, man. They'll just take the front end right out of you. So you gotta watch that stuff. See a little rooster tail there. You the guys saw bears up here. The elk were all over the place. Saw lots of elk right in the middle of town in Packwood. They'd be down there grazing at the church parking or the church lawn and stuff like that. And, pretty good downhills here in places too. I know it doesn't look that steep because I'm standing up and the perspective doesn't really change, but I know there was one spot right in here. I was reaching for my back brake and I was downshifting and I thought I was hitting second gear, but I actually popped into neutral, so I was expecting a little compression brake, and I didn't get it, so I kind of took off. I think that was it right there, and got it back up in second gear so I could use the compression to help slow me down as well. We're coming pretty close to the end of this here, about another minute or so. But down on the left, you'll see the river start to come up. You can see it down there about a quarter mile right now. And like I said, this is just a beautiful area. Really enjoyed this ride. So you see the river down the left, it's beautiful. And then coming up here, that break of trees, you'll see a little building on the left, and if you look through those trees, you can pause it to take a look at it if you want to. But right up here you can see the spillway. You can see the concrete on both sides. There's that spillway right there. It's just pristine. The water is just dark green, just really pretty. Right past this building here, you'll see the water off to the left. It's really cool. It's pretty close. So I felt very blessed to get up there and see this. But anyway, we pull in here. This is kind of the parking zone. So we're the first 3 there, and yeah, it was very, very fun. The other guys will start trickling in here behind. You can see on my GPS there that we're right at the edge of that lake. And but yeah, my hands actually on this ride started to get a little stiff. They've been cold all day. These gloves were not waterproof. I didn't I either had winter gloves or these gloves, and so I'm gonna have to get something in between, but I didn't have them. See the other guys trickling in there, and everybody's kind of commenting. Is Matt kind of stretching his knees out a little bit after that? But no, it was a kick. It's definitely a kick. You'll see Tammy pull up here in a sec. Here comes some more bikes. I think that's my other camp buddies here. Mark and John. That's Tammy right there on the little XT 250. Great fun by all. I think Jake's going to be off here to the left. He's all the way to the left there. And everybody got in there, everybody was smiling, everybody enjoyed that. See the band-aid on the end of my finger where I almost took that off. So anyway, take care guys, keep it up on 2. I hope you enjoyed.